everyone, and welcome to the 26th episode of Back Alley Chat. I am your host, Allie Severino, and today we are doing a solo dolo episode. I hope you're all enjoying this gray hoodie that I wear in almost every episode. It's from Shein. It was $5, and it's one of my favorites. So I'm on my lunch break from work right now, and so I'm kind of excited for this episode because we're going to be jumping into a few lawsuits that are out there. It'll be episode 476 of Why We Can't Trust These Fucking People in Charge. And I think that's going to be pretty fun. A little bit of life updates and maybe some goals inspo towards the end. So a quick reminder to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode of Back Alley Chat. YouTube hates to show my videos because we're constantly getting demonetized. So always check back because even if you're subscribed, it might not even pop up at that point. But I hope you enjoy the content. And if you do, don't hesitate to leave us a review and share our podcast with a friend. It is very much appreciated. And of course, what else is appreciated is our sponsor, Quick Intel. Crypto investors lose their hard-earned money every day due to scammers because they don't know how or what to look for in a crypto contract's code to protect themselves. So Quick Intel has created a hub of AI crypto safety and security tools to help you reveal and easily understand the risks of a project before you invest. No more investing blindly and hoping for the best. Become a confident crypto trader and protect your hard-earned money from scammers with Quick Intel. So you can download Quick Intel on your iOS or Android from the App Store. And as always, show them some love because they show us lots of love. Thank you, Quick Intel. So as I was saying, in this week's episode of You Can't Trust Pharmaceutical Companies for Shit or the Government, we'll be discussing two lawsuits, one with gabapentin and one with buprenorphine. So I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with the older Suboxone lawsuit, but basically, if you don't know, Suboxone is a medication used to treat opioid use disorder. It can help it helps alleviate detox symptoms from opioids because it's a partial opioid, whatever. I'm pretty sure all of you know what Suboxone is. So some years ago, they had a lawsuit out because what they were doing, I think it was, trust. They were doing fucking shit to make you all fucked up in the game, right? So that's the basic antitrust. There you go. So, according to the FTC, Rickett Bexner and Indivior conspired together to maximize Suboxone profit at the expense of customers. Shocking. To convince more patients to take their branded medication, the companies allegedly deceived patients and doctors with claims that the film version of Suboxone was safer than the tablet versions. And if you've ever been on this medication, I know you know that that's true. I know you went to a doctor and you were like, I'd like to get Subutex or something. And they were like, no, we got to give you the film because it's safe, right? This was something a lot of people experienced for many years. To secure their profits from this alleged false advertising, Rickett and Indivior suppressed generic competition by filing meritless petitions to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, our friends at the FDA. These petitions repeatedly had unsupported safety claims about the film version of Suboxone and urged the FDA to reject applications for generic tablet alternatives because they were saying, it's not the same if it's in a tablet like it is in our film. It's important for them to only take the film type of Suboxone because it can't be, used intravenously and all of these things where we know that if you have the naloxone in a pill, it's going to basically be the same thing. But the FTC says these actions cause consumers to pay more for Suboxone when, in a healthy market, they could have otherwise been able to purchase less expensive generic versions of the medication. In July 2020, Rickett Bexner agreed to pay $50 million in a settlement to resolve these claims, and Indivior agreed to pay $10 million. In 2021, the FTC distributed $59 million to consumers who were prescribed Suboxone. Of this sum, $42 million was sent in the form of 37,000 checks, while the remaining $16 million was sent in 14,000 prepaid debit cards. The average payment was $1,139. And if you all know anything, you know that these Suboxone films, if not covered by your insurance, especially in the mid-2000s, were very, very expensive. So many people were paying a lot of money out of pocket when in a fair market, they would have been offered a generic, which these pharmaceutical companies constantly were basically making fraudulent claims, so that couldn't happen. So what is the new lawsuit against Suboxone? The new lawsuit against Suboxone is in regards to dental decay. So in January 2022, the FDA released a warning about buprenorphine products being associated with dental decay. FDA also gave further explanation about the warning. Some quotes from the FDA warning were, "The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, our friends the FDA, is warning that dental problems have been reported with medicines containing buprenorphine that are dissolved in the mouth. The dental problems, including tooth decay, cavities, oral infections, and loss of teeth, can be serious and have been reported even in patients with no history of dental issues. Some cases reported dental problems occurring as soon as 2 weeks after treatment began, with the median time to diagnose being approximately 2 years after starting treatment. Many cases were reported by healthcare professionals and provided documentation of extensive dental adverse events." Now, why are they being sued? They're being sued not because we just found this out and they had no idea. No, they knew this the entire time and they neglected to say anything about it. And it's actually really interesting because there's a group of addiction organizations who are actually petitioning for the FDA to retract this warning. Why would they do that, right? Well, in their opinion, their point is that Suboxone saves lives of people with opioid use disorders, and this warning can discourage people from taking the medication. Now, what's very ironic about this is that these were the same organizations and are the same organizations that are helping sue Purdue Pharma and other pharmaceutical companies for hiding possible negative side effects of opioids for pain. So it's okay for one, but not okay for the other. I think as Americans, as humans, as people who have the right to choose what we want to do medically with our bodies, we have the right to know, hey, yes, this medication could save your life. It could take away a lot of your detox symptoms that you're experiencing and your post-acute withdrawal symptoms and all of this stuff, and has a pretty decent success rate, especially when combined with therapy, but just know that it can cause dental decay. I mean, is it that serious? I mean, I'm sure if you were banging dope for a long time, you're like, okay, dental decay, death. Okay, fuck it, whatever. But either way, it's your choice, right? You deserve to make that choice, an educated choice. But again, addiction organizations want to take that away from you because you're too dumb to figure that out. So, and also I suspect that many of these organizations who are fighting this are also going to be receiving millions of dollars from the payouts that are coming up very soon from the Purdue lawsuits. I know that our area is getting our payouts, and right now we're having a lot of meetings and groups on what we should do with the money, which I think will be interesting to see what happens. I know most of it is slated for addiction treatment, but there's other things like prevention and stuff like that many states are looking into to kind of curb this problem before it starts, right? Which is probably the best way to do it, but we have still yet to find a way to, like our DARE program, not super effective, obviously, right? So we definitely need to come up with better proactive solutions, and maybe those proactive solutions are simply teaching children how to have social skills. Because again, I always go back to the point that most of addiction stems from a lack of community, a lack of belonging, a lack of purpose. And so right now, when I see young people, they have a very hard time even having like simple conversations. And that's going to lead them to where? If you can't have a conversation, you're going to be led to isolation, being alone. What does that lead to? Depression, anxiety. What does that lead to? Either maybe being put on medication by a doctor or self-medicating. And that could start with things like alcohol or marijuana, and then it can lead to God knows what. I told you guys that the fentanyl test strips were finally legalized, at least in the state of Florida, like a month or two ago. And I got my hands on a bunch of them, and I was talking to my friend Austin, who works at Rebel Recovery, which is our local harm harm reduction agency here in Palm Beach County. And we were saying, yeah, we're not even going to hand these out. I mean, we can. Obviously, if an opioid user wants fentanyl test strips, they're more than happy to get them or give them to them 100%. But they know they're using fentanyl. I mean, there is no dope user right now that doesn't go, oh, this might have fentanyl in it. Like, it all has fentanyl in it, period. But it's really the cocaine users and people who are using drugs that shouldn't have fentanyl in it that really need to be aware, and they need to be very careful and testing their substances if they're going to use them at all. So, yeah. I just thought that was interesting. So if you've had any dental decay, I definitely suggest that you reach out. So you can call the law firm that is doing the lawsuit, and that their phone number is 213-212-2202. And they have and you can basically report your dental injury and let them know what's going on and be a part of the class action lawsuit, especially if you missed out on the one in the previous years where everyone got paid a bunch of money for their cash pay Suboxone, paying much too much money because they're liars. Imagine we got to lie like that all the time. Like, yo, I would be so wealthy. My addiction treatment cures 100% of people that walk through the door. Can you imagine, right? Oh my gosh. Anyway. And also a lot of this information I got, and if you want more information on these lawsuits and other lawsuits, especially in the world of pain management, go to thedoctorforum.com. They are awesome, and they have a lot of information. My next one. Gabapentin. Now, if you guys have been following me for some time, you might know that on my YouTube channel, I have a video called The Truth, Gabapentin. And I had such a good time making it because I never had heard of gabapentin until probably 2014 when I was opening my first sober home. And almost every single patient was on gabapentin. And every night they'd be like, oh, I need my gabs. Oh, I need, like, they were like bugging out. And I was like, what is this that they're like freaking out about? And it was gabapentin. And they felt at that time that they had a physical dependence on the medication, or they were definitely feeling something from it to make them constantly ask for it to the point where you're like, right? So what happened now? So they already had a big lawsuit. Gabapentin already had a massive lawsuit because basically it is legal for doctors to prescribe medications for uses other than FDA approved uses, right? They are allowed to do that. And gabapentin particularly is commonly used in the treatments for individuals with mental illness, recovering from substance use disorders, all sorts of stuff. But really, it's for neuropathy. It can help a little bit with hot flashes, stuff like that. These are all off-label uses that it's being prescribed for. And if you watch the video, The Truth Gabapentin, you'll see that I find 1 million people that are on this shit. And during the making of that video, my cat got given gabapentin. So I was like, oh my God, it's everywhere. Gabapentin's taking over the world. And they love it because they're making a ton of money off of this drug. And so they did something similar where they were not allowing other similar, cheaper drugs to come out on the market. They were doing all this manipulation so that couldn't happen, so that they can make more profits. And beyond that, it is illegal for pharmaceutical companies to advise their medications for any off-label use, which they were also doing. They were telling people to be prescribed for pain. Not only that, I have a great quote here. Where was it? Basically, so it has been marketed and promoted for several non-approved uses. So these are the non-approved uses that gabapentin has been being prescribed for: bipolar disorder, pain syndromes, RSD, attention deficit disorder, ADD, restless leg syndrome. I hear it actually works pretty okay for that. Tremors, migraines, chronic pain, drug and alcohol withdrawal seizures. So direct purchasers claim that Pfizer violated federal antitrust laws by illegally delaying the entry of generic versions of the prescription drug Narcan. The active ingredient in Narcan is gabapentin. The lawsuit claimed that Pfizer delayed competition from less expensive generic versions of Narcan by executing a multifaceted scheme involving other things, improperly listing certain patents with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, engaging in illegal promotion and sales of Narcan for unapproved uses, filing and maintaining sham litigations with respect to certain patents which never existed, and making misrepresentations to the patent courts. Plaintiffs alleged that through this scheme, Pfizer was able to maintain its monopoly in the market for gabapentin, improperly causing direct purchasers of Narcan to pay artificially inflated prices for gabapentin products. And now what's funny is that, so you just heard gabapentin and Suboxone, they did the exact same thing. That is the playbook. How many more pharmaceutical companies or medications is this happening for? I'm sure a ton. I am positive a ton, right? So the newest lawsuit, and this is very, very new, and what they're coming up with is basically it's going to be for individuals who have experienced weight loss, weight gain, and most importantly, memory loss. They are seeing massive memory loss in elder individuals who are taking gabapentin. And so also the funny thing is that these people, they gave an undisclosed amount of money, Pfizer gave an undisclosed amount of money to the CDC Foundation. After giving that undisclosed amount of money, the CDC came out with a pamphlet or a docket on pain. And in that docket, gabapentin was mentioned 33 times. Coincidence? Maybe. Was it coincidence when OxyContin and the CDC worked together to make that widely available? I don't know. Well, I do know because they got arrested for it. So I guess, anyway. So those are two things to look into if you have used gabapentin and have had some sort of negative reaction to it, especially in regards to memory loss. I would look up the information and fill out. They have like a form that you can fill out. And the same thing with Suboxone and tooth decay. You guys deserve to be compensated for that if anything did happen in regard to those two medications. And, and I want to also say that I don't think anything's bad with either of these medications. I think Suboxone's great for so many people. It's helpful. I think gabapentin is helpful. If you guys, again, go to the video, The Truth Gabapentin, you'll see hundreds of comments. Some people are saying this is a miracle drug. It worked fantastic for me. I haven't had to worry about X, Y, and Z since I started it. I love it. And other people having really bad and adverse reactions. Some just use it to get high, right? So lots of medications are used for lots of different ways. It doesn't make them good or bad. I think we should have the availability of everything. I mean, why not at this point? So it's obviously up to the individual to make that choice of what's best for them. And that's why you guys deserve the truth, right? That's why we deserve to know the pros and cons of each medication before we start taking it. As I was looking at news stories for this podcast episode, I came across a Guardian newspaper headline, and I just thought I couldn't believe this was an article. Okay, this is the name of the article. The Guardian. Should I worry about my recreational heroin use? Yes, you should. You should worry about that. That's concerning. You shouldn't recreationally use heroin. I don't even know how the fuck is that an article? Yes, one word article. And it goes down this whole rabbit hole. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Okay. Yes. So just to clarify that, so you don't have to read the 2,000 word article to figure out that conclusion, I just wanted to help everybody out since that was one of the main news stories of the week that I found. I thought that was very interesting. I would say if you're using meth also recreationally, that could be a problem, or bath salts or any other extreme form of drugs that have been known to ruin people's lives. I would say, yes, you should worry about it in a healthy way. Everybody's different, as I just said, but generally not the best. Okay. Anyway, I had one more story because it finally got printed in the paper here, so I'm able to talk about it. I have had a big news week myself. I have been, I don't know how it's happened, but I've had a lot of earned media, except they don't mention Back Alley Chat podcast, which I'm not very pleased about, but that's okay. So I was in the paper originally for talking about how xylazine fentanyl mixture, aka tranq, is showing up here in Palm Beach County. Though it's not too crazy, honestly. I wish they would have written more about the bath salts because that's really bad around here right now. But I guess the zombie drug is just like a really good headline, so they just like to run with that. I'm just so grateful that we don't have to deal with what Kensington's dealing with right now. This was a good one. So I got an email and they said, hey, have you ever heard of this guy? They're calling him the Angel of West Palm Beach. And he has Narcaned 19 people and revived them from the depths of death in the past year. And I was like, I've never seen that person. It doesn't mean that they haven't done it, right? They own a bunch of sober homes. I'm going to assume that most of those overdoses might have happened at a sober home, as opposed to you just walking down the street and randomly finding somebody overdosed, since I walk across the streets every single day and rarely come across that. I mean, as you guys know, it's happened, but not 19 times, and I'm outside a lot. And so one of the quotes he said was, one time I had to hit somebody with Narcan 5 times. And that really shocked me because that's not right. You should never hit somebody with Narcan 5 times. It can take up to 3 minutes for Narcan to even work. So if he was properly dosing these individuals with Narcan, that means that over 15 minutes, PD didn't show up and they didn't wake up if you were giving it properly. And the reality is that that's not compassionate. Okay. It's not compassionate to find somebody who is potentially overdosing on an opiate to give them 5 hits of Narcan, because what is going to happen to that individual? They're going to wake up as sick as humanly possible. And as soon as that happens, they are going to refuse treatment. They're going to go get high again. So, the new protocol for that is as little Narcan as possible. You want to wait. You want to try to do a sternum rub, give oxygen. There are different ways about reversing opioid overdose now that we understand it better. And who wants to be woken up like that? You don't want them to die, but 5 doses of Narcan sounds fishy. It sounds like you didn't do that. Did you have them all in your pocket? Where did the 5 doses come from? I just have questions about that. But thank you for the hard work. But also look into compassionate comebacks, because, as we continue down this road of new drugs and learning more about how drugs and all these things interact with one another, I think it's important to continue to educate yourself on these things. I've been educated on the more compassionate approach, which is using a minimal amount of this medication, because, like I said, we don't want that person to immediately get up, get high, and overdose again and have to do this over and over again throughout the day. So that was a rant. I didn't even mean this. I didn't have that written down. So sorry for ranting. So, how I was in the paper. Right. So I did a town hall for the downtown residents who are concerned with the growing amount of homeless individuals in our area. Palm Beach County had a 35% increase in unhoused individuals in the county last year, which is not fucking shocking. I mean, but the rich people, it's shocking to them because I don't think we live in the same economy. I'm convinced that they're like, how are they outside? What is with this increase of the bums and vagrants? And it's like, bro, have you fucking looked at rent lately? Okay, these people get like tops $200 in food stamps. I spend that in food a week, and I literally will go to Walmart, Aldi, Publix just to like find the most affordable in all the, fruit, vegetables, meat, I cook my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't eat out, and I'm still spending almost $1,000 a month on food. So that. B, gas right now is almost like $5 a gallon for regular. My car's supposed to take premium. Probably why it's been I told you guys I paid my car off. Ever since then, it's been in the shop like 20 times. So maybe it's because I'm not using the right gas. But I can't bring myself to pay like $6 a gallon. It hurts. It hurts to go to the gas pump. Pain at the pump, guys. Pain at the pump. So we got pain at the pump, pain at the grocery store, pain with the landlords. And it's just tough out there. And now that all this COVID money is gone, you have to think, I can only speak for my area, as I always say, but Palm Beach County spent $100 million in rental assistance, $100 million to keep people in their homes, as opposed to them being evicted because of whatever it is. They lost work, rent increases, and all of that. So now that money has ran out, I can't imagine how bad it's going to get next year. I really can't. Americans can't afford to buy a home. They can't afford to rent a home. Shit, they can't afford an RV because gas is so high. Where do you want us to live? What are we doing? So that was one thing that I did. And what else was I was in the paper for the trank for that. And for my last story, which, Mr. J Harvilla. So, about, must have been 6 months ago, maybe longer, maybe around 6 months ago. I got a phone call from a young lady who was looking for her boyfriend. I told her that I would, actually it was her and the boyfriend's sister, right? So I told them I would help, obviously, however I could. Obviously, I do street outreach. I'm in the street every single day. If I can get his flyers and pass them out and try to find information on where her brother is, I'm happy to help. His family flew down here. They came to my office, and, I gave them a bunch of places to look around our area where people who use substances can typically be found. They stated to me that he was basically in the Florida shuffle. He was going from one rehab to the next rehab to the next rehab. And one particular day, and there were reports all over Palm Beach County of him overdosing, just constantly, just over and over and over again. Because I was looking for him, I was calling different police departments and trying to find out what happened to this young man. So I guess this one day they were exited from a PHP or res program, and they wanted them to go back to detox. Now, mind you, this couple had just been in detox for about 2 weeks, which is super rare. I mean, they must have amazing insurance because no one gets kept in detox for that long. So, and for them, they didn't want to sit and watch Netflix for 2 weeks again. I mean, how boring can you get? So they were looking for alternatives in treatment. Now, of course, when you get kicked out, they might want to keep your phone and your luggage and your belongings and all these other things. And so individuals are left with limited resources to find assistance. And it's not always that easy, right? To find who takes my insurance, right? Short story, right before I came in here, I got a phone call from our police department saying they had 2 individuals outside of PD, and they were supposed to go to rehab. They have left one rehab and were supposed to go to another, but didn't know the name of it, didn't know where they were supposed to go. They just knew it was in Miami. Because I knew what kind of insurance they had, I was able to track down what facility they were supposed to go to. And they got picked up by an Uber literally as I walked into the studio. But if you don't have that kind of knowledge that I have, and that I'm able to reach out to friends of mine that have that, because we've worked in this field for 15 years, it's very difficult to find out who takes your insurance, is your deductible met, just all this stupid crap, right? So, he had, and he came down here for drug treatment in 2022. And basically several months later, he disappeared. Now, what happened? We knew that he was by the Blue Heron Bridge. That was the last place he was seen, was by the Blue Heron Bridge. The Blue Heron Bridge basically connects Singer Island to the city of Riviera Beach. Riviera Beach is known for being a low-income city with a lot of drug use and crime and everything else. And if he was on Blue Heron and Broadway, he was definitely buying drugs. And, when he was missing, I thought it was very interesting because they were convinced that maybe he had been sold into some sort of like slave trade, who knows? But to me, I thought it was, I had a bad feeling because I don't know any person who's struggling with a substance use disorder who comes from a wealthy family who does not bother that family for money at some point. And the fact that he had not reached out for any money, I figured that maybe the worst had happened. Maybe they were right. Maybe he got sold into some weird slave trade or, work, whatever it is. But it just seems like if you have that kind of money, you can basically get yourself out of any weird situation you might be in. Like, why wouldn't they just take the money from his parents or something like that? And, but, I called Riviera Beach Police Department, who has notoriously been corrupt, but they're trying to be better, over and over again. And they said that they searched for him. They went to that location. We all went to that location, didn't see anything. Police officer, so on that corner of Blue Heron and Broadway, there's a Publix. And Publix is like our grocery store down here. It's like a ShopRite or whatever. So an undertaker, a guy who worked at the morgue, was at the Publix, and he said, "Hey, I smell a dead body. Like I smell a dead body." And he called the police department. The police came out, and I think it was in like 11 minutes, the police officer that came said, "Nope, I don't see anything left." Okay. 4 months later, another gentleman calls into the police department and says, "Hey, I found human remains at the Publix." The same place that everyone was standing out just 4 months prior, where the police officer said, "Nothing's here. It's fine. It's perfect." And who was it? It was Jay. His body had been laying there decomposing for months, and in the last place that he was seen. And now, why didn't the police department work a little bit harder to find him? Work a little bit, search a little bit better when an undertaker said that he smelt a human body, right? You would think if anyone knew what that smelt like, it would be the guy who works at the morgue. You got to rely on individuals and their abilities. If that's what that guy does, he must be pretty good at it. I'm sure he knows what it smells like, but PD ignored him, and why? And I think we all know the reason why. It's because when you struggle with a substance use disorder, you are looked at like you are less than. Like you are not as important. Like it doesn't matter as much. And I believe that's what happened to this young man. And the sad part is that day that he went missing, he spent the day searching for help and drugs. And he found the drugs first. And that's a reality in our system, is that it's easier to get high than to get healthy. And until we change our system to make it so that it's easier to get healthy than to get high, I'm not sure what's really going to change. People have to have access to appropriate treatment, and treatment that is going to actually be beneficial for them. Not just a place where you watch Netflix every day for 12 hours. Like, that's not fucking treatment. How dare you bill anyone's insurance for that? Really? I mean, but here we go to people, these people just do whatever they want. And so, and I've talked about this before, but with the change in the laws where after Obamacare came out, you were allowed to stay on your parents' insurance until you were 26. And what it enacted was the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act, which required insurance providers to cover addiction care over and over again until the individual recovered. And while this was amazing and such a change from how our addiction treatment industry used to be, that is what opened the doors for the scams and the abuse that we have seen within this industry. And it's not just Florida, I have to say. Even though this article about Jay and what he went through is obviously about Florida and the issues that we have down here with our addiction treatment, this is across the country. I get messages all day from people in California stating that they're dealing with patient brokering or some sort of fraudulent addiction treatment care, and they don't have anyone to reach out to. At a minimum in Florida, at least we do have different regulatory agencies who are supposed to be overseeing this. The issue comes with actually overseeing the mass amount of addiction treatment facilities and sober living homes that we do have because, hey, it's Florida. It's beautiful. It's warm. It's nice. I mean, it used to be affordable. But, it's a great place to come and escape for a little bit and feel good. It really, really is. And what was supposed to be happening is that DCF is supposed to be overseeing treatment centers. And they're the ones that are supposed to be detailing how well their treatment approaches are going. Are they using evidence-based practices? Are they, all these different regulations. But the reality is DCF sucks. They've sucked at everything they've ever done. I don't know why we expected them to grab this and run with it. I mean, they don't suck, but they're understaffed, and the staff that they do have is underpaid. And so they're not going to spend a ton of time and effort on regulating these addiction treatment centers when they don't know what proper addiction treatment even looks like. How do you regulate something you know very little about? And that was basically just thrown on their shoulders when all of this Sober Home Task Force and all of this happened. And so I think that's something that our state definitely needs to take a look at, because DCF truly lacks the expertise to evaluate these facilities and doesn't hold them to any kind of standard of care and does not take any steps to ensure patient safety. And it ignores repeated violations and relies on facilities to correct themselves. So sounds like the perfect storm of a shit show, which is like everything. Why is everything a mess, guys? I think it's because we have too many people. I'm not sure. Like, let's say aliens were here. First of all, would we even take him to our leader? Would our leader know it was an alien? I don't. Is our leader an alien? Sometimes he looks like one when he like super spaces out. And he's like, I'm like, are you home, Joe? Are you with us, JoJo? And just a little take on our friend JoJo is, I'm dying for a Democratic debate. How dare these people say they're not going to have a debate? I want to see RFK get up there and Marianne Williamson. I think everyone that's running right now is basically better than the two choices that they're trying to give us. But RFK's like the man. And you know what he said he's going to do? He said, not everyone has a rich uncle, but we can give everyone a rich uncle. And that rich uncle would be Uncle Sam. So what he wants to do if he becomes president, and I don't know, he could suck, but he seems decent. He doesn't seem to talk crap about other people. He seems like and he's in recovery, just saying, pretty cool. But he was basically saying how he would have it so that everybody could buy a house with a 3.5% interest rate, and that interest rate would be backed by Uncle Sam or whatever, the Federal Reserve. However, I don't really know how it all works out. But I thought that was a great idea. I think it's needed. I think we need those cool ideas and changes, because really we have a lot of human beings in this world. And again, back to the food stuff, all the poison they feed us at the grocery store. I can't help but think every time I'm there, like, how are they feeding 8 billion people? Like, anyway, I know, conspiracy theorists, and I've been watching Ancient Aliens too much. Fuck, I think so, right? So it's either like you believe in God or you believe in science, right? But then I was thinking, what if God created science so we could figure out that aliens, like, maybe we're just an experiment. We don't know. No one can even tell me I'm wrong, because y'all don't know. Everything starts with the Big Bang. No one can tell me what happened before then. It could be anything. So that's so fun. How exciting is that? Shit, we could just go to another universe and just, God, be ourselves again. Maybe not. Maybe someone else. Who knows? But throwing that out there. So to end on a positive note, I wanted to throw out there something that I kind of forgot about. I was listening to, is it Jim Rohn, on my way here, and he was talking about goal setting. And I had remembered, oh yeah, I did all my goal settings, right? Because you have to write your goals down. That's like a really important part of goals, and setting goals and attaining them is actually writing them down on paper. And so how I had it down was, the first thing I started with was 5 things. I'm not going to read you guys like every goal I have, but just to give you an idea of how I did it. I wrote 5 things I'm already proud of that I have accomplished, right? What are 5 things that I have accomplished that I'm proud of? And that's hard for me to even consider. I'm like, I don't know. But I wrote my movie and my show, getting my magna cum laude, even for my associate's degree. Still very proud of that. Starting my magazine, completing my 6 years of probation, getting my home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Okay. And so then you got to think, you have to write 50 items that I want in 10 years. And you can continue this list. This isn't all that you get. You don't only get 50 things within 10 years. You can write as many things as you want. But, the idea is, so you write a list of 50 things, and then you use 1, 3, 5, and 10. Will this goal take me 1 year? Will it take me 3? Will it take me 5? Will it take me 10? How long do I think it'll take me to accomplish this goal? So I put a Range Rover, which now with my dog, I might need like a Tiguan or something. I don't know, something that he's not going to mess up because he's a crazy boy. But 3 years, right? A house. I have a condo, but I would love a house. Another 3 years. A garden. 1 year. A golden retriever. Hey, I can check that one off. I got one. I got a puppy. Oh my God, he's such a crazy boy. I'm kind of running out of time, but he has doubled in size in 2 weeks. His paws are about as big as the palm of my hand. He's going to be massive. We named him Finn, aka Finnegan, and he is such a little Finnegan boy. He knows sit, stay, up, down, and how to boop my hands. He sleeps in his crate overnight, but he hates it during the day. And him and my cat are not getting along. We're working on it as a family unit. Of course, I sleep with my Juggy Buggy every night. He will always be number one in my eyes. But I really love this puppy dog. I'm sad that I can't go on vacation yet, I guess. I don't know. The dog thing's a lot. It's really like having a child. I have to wake up at a certain time, walk him. He needs lunch. He needs dinner. He needs a bath. Grandma, grandpa want to visit. It's a lot. Anyway, I've gotten off track. So, I want to go to Egypt in 3 years. Göbekli Tepe in 5 years. Göbekli Tepe, that's a cool one. Again, aliens, we don't know. All right. So you got to think things you want to read, things you want to do, things you want to see, things that you want to cultivate within yourself, being able to knit, all that kind of stuff you should write down. And then you write either 1, 3, 5, or 10. How long will it take you to accomplish that? And then at the end, you need to tally up how many 1s, how many 3s, how many 5s, how many 10s. And if you have a bunch of 1 and 3s, but you don't have a bunch of 5s and 10s, that means that you are not thinking big enough. You are not thinking far enough into the future. Sometimes a lot of people that'll come up to be like, oh, I thought you were going to be mayor. I'm like, yeah, not today, bitch. Like when I'm 50, you got to build yourself up to these things. You just don't become them overnight. It's all a long-term thing. So then you got to do your short-term and your long-term goals. Now, just to hit on my short-term ones really long, my kitchen, I had a leak. I still have to paint, but I've kind of figured that one out. Sponsor for the podcast. Got it. Thank you, Quick Intel. Yoga, the knees on the arm thing. Did it this weekend. What? For the first time. Okay, hit that one. 500 followers on Back Alley Chat. Need like 10 more of you to do that, and that would be amazing, and we'll hit it. And yeah, we're out of time. So I hope that you guys write down your goals and that you're able to accomplish some amazing ones this year. I love you all so much. Please like, please share, please comment below, share the podcast with a friend. And I have some really great episodes coming up. One where I interview an individual who goes through his Ibogaine experience, and we're going to see how that goes, and a few other really cool guests. I hope you all enjoy. I love you all so much. And if no one told you they love you today, I do. Bye.